Back in 1993, a first-person shooter took the world by storm, simply titled Doom. Fast forward 27 years, and it's about to happen all over again. Doom Eternal is finally here, throwing together tens of thousands of Hell's demons, and the only person capable of eliminating every last one of them. Here are 24 things you need to know about Doom Eternal. For those who have lost track of whereabouts Doom Eternal fits in the whole saga, here's a quick catch-up. This new entry is a direct sequel to the 2016 Doom, which itself was a reboot of the series. So I guess, in essence, this is Doom 2. You know what, let's not jump down that rabbit hole. All you need to know is that one of gaming's goriest shooters is back, and bigger than ever. So fans of the previous installments have plenty to be excited about. Here is our hero, the Doom Slayer. His mum and dad definitely gave him a good name, and oh boy, he lives up to that name. He was once a Marine, building his reputation throughout many missions. In fact, he was so good at killing demons that his enemies decided to entomb him in a sarcophagus and warned the entirety of Hell to never let him out. Spoiler alert, he got out. Several months have passed since then, and now we arrive at the promise of Doom Eternal. Just like it did in the original Doom 2, the forces of Hell have invaded Earth, and things are getting pretty ugly. Around 60% of the planet has been conquered by the invading forces, our military is outgunned, and the majority of the world's population is already dead. Happy days. Just when it looks like things couldn't get any worse, in walks Doom Slayer, fresh out of Hell, literally armed to the teeth. We take control of the Slayer as he quests to destroy the Hell Priests and send those demons back to where they came from. Now let's talk about the most successful element of the new and improved Doom formula, the gameplay. At the core of this design is a simple philosophy: push forward gameplay. It's the idea that standing in the same place or biding your time should never be an option. Let me break that down a little with this example. In Doom, health does not regenerate like it does in most other games you play. Instead, you have to pick it up, as well as find it of course, making it an incredibly valuable resource. While you may find some health stashed around here or there, there's only one guaranteed way to get that health back: a glory kill. These are up-close, brutal executions you can trigger on enemies once their health is low enough. Get in close, trigger the glory kill, and watch the precious health come pouring out. On the surface, this sounds counterintuitive, right? The only way to get health is to leave your cover and leave that safety behind, and run straight at the enemy. The crazy thing is that it genuinely works, and gives the game an insane pace. Every encounter is a pure adrenaline rush, thanks to the push-forward gameplay, and Doom Eternal is doubling down on this in every way imaginable. This isn't the end of the balls to the wall game mechanics. Glory kills equal health regen. But what about if you need ammo? Well, your Doom Slayer has a chainsaw, as you do, and eliminating a demon with a chainsaw will gift us with ammunition. If you haven't guessed already, this isn't a simulation demon slaying game, so embrace the arcade elements as much as you can. To finish this trilogy of murder, we can also regenerate armor, and would you like to guess how we do that? With fire. Kill it with fire. You'll have armor for days. These mechanics turn ordinary combat encounters into something that feels more like a strategy game, planning 3 moves ahead to be fully healed with max armor and deep pockets of ammunition moments before a boss fight. You are constantly evolving what you need to survive, and all paths lead to murder. Make no mistake about it, Doom Eternal looks like a game about mindless murder, but the amount of tactical thought going on beneath the surface is the core of the brilliance of this game. On top of this, Doom Eternal gives you more tricks to exploit. A great example of this are enemies' new weak spots. Rather than demons being big bloody bullet sponges, you can now target specific areas for an advantage. Take the Arachnotron, for example. This spider-like monster jumps around the environment, taking shots at you from its plasma cannon. Solution? Destroy the plasma cannon, of course. If you successfully blow off part of a monster, you'll hear this satisfying ting noise. Who doesn't get a little satisfaction from some onomatopoeia? That sound signals you have the upper hand in this fight. My favourite example of this involves the infamous Caca Demon. These big one-eyed floating testicles occasionally have a ridiculous amount of health, but if you manage to fire a grenade directly into its open mouth, you'll instantly be able to activate a glory kill. Simply beautiful. Doom Eternal is confirmed to have twice as many demons to fight as in previous entries. While you can expect plenty of reimagined demons based on the original series, I'm personally excited to take on the Doom Hunter, a brand new enemy type designed specifically to do one thing. Does his name give it away? Doom Hunter? Yeah, he's here to hunt us down, but nothing can match our dominance, right? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Fortunately, the roster of enemies isn't the only thing increasing in size. The Slayer's own arsenal of super weapons is seeing its own improvements, and some of them are downright crazy. Take the Super Shotgun for example. It's one of the most iconic weapons in video game history, so what does Doom Eternal do to it? It adds a grappling hook, meat hook attachment thing, essentially a glorified grappling hook that allows the Slayer to fling himself around the environment, and yes, face first into enemies themselves. Oh, and of course there's the fan favourite Crucible, the Doomslayer's very own energy sword. You won't just be handling the stock variants of these weapons either. Much like the previous entry, Doom Eternal features an overwhelming amount of upgrade options to suit almost every playstyle. Your core health, armor, and ammo levels can be upgraded using Sentinel crystals, with various perks unlocked along the way. On top of that, each weapon can be upgraded to either increase its effectiveness or to be modded to give extra use. There's a surprising amount of flexibility here. Take the heavy cannon machine gun for example. You could choose to add a precision bolt, a sniper-like semi-automatic shot that packs a huge punch, or you could slap on a twin rack of micro missiles that aggressively seek out their targets. Different strokes for different folks. In fact, let's go deeper down this rabbit hole of modification. The majority of weapons we encounter can house 2 mods to use as we see fit, but here's the best thing to think about. On our journey, we'll be given a codex of demons that we've slayed. Reading this codex, you will highlight different weaknesses for certain enemy types, and then simply modify your weapons to best suit that encounter. Basically what I'm saying is adapt your arsenal to fit the fight you're in. But as we already know, it's not enough just killing a demon, you have to look good whilst doing it. While the Slayer's famous Praetor suit also has its own suite of passive upgrades that we stack up on as we progress, it's also been modified with a few new tools since its last outing. A new shoulder-mounted equipment launcher can fire frag grenades or act as a straight-up flamethrower, giving you a ton of new options in combat. Then there's the Doomblade, a badass knife that's now mounted to the suit's left arm. What I love about the Doomblade is that it seems to serve no purpose whatsoever other than letting you slice and dice through demons whenever you get up close and personal. I suppose he could use it to open canned goods. Maybe I'm overthinking this. To break away from combat for a moment, Doom Eternal has a few non-violent things to showcase. The clearest example of this is the game's new traversal system. While the Doomslayer has always been a surprisingly nimble guy, this time around he can double jump and even double dash his way around a surprisingly diverse environment. Pretty soon you'll be avoiding waves of fire, swinging from pole to pole and climbing up walls in your pursuit of collectibles. Not bad for a guy wearing a suit that probably weighs more than your mum. Let's talk about difficulty. Doom Eternal is making sure all players get the right level of challenge. In the last game, whenever you upped the difficulty, enemies began to behave differently. Frustratingly, they would become so much more accurate. id Software have recognised this and made changes, making higher difficulties more fun to play. In Doom Eternal, all mechanics are scaling, which means players at all levels still have to engage in all the systems necessary to survive. They won't suddenly find enemies miraculously activating aimbot just because they decided to play on a harder difficulty. For the true sadists out there, have no fear. This doesn't mean the game is going to be easy on you. In fact, Doom Eternal has added new optional objectives for those who love getting the crap kicked out of them. Slayer Gates. These are the new optional encounters you'll find during your playthrough. Unlock the gate with a nearby slay key and you'll find yourself engaging in some of the hardest encounters the game has to offer. After all that killing, even the Doomslayer needs to put his feet up from time to time, and that's where we see the Fortress of Doom, the Slayer's new home away from home. This brand new hub area is one of the coolest additions to this year's game. The fortress is actually a space station of sorts, floating through space, keeping an eye on hell on Earth. Here you can access previously completed missions, test your might in the training area called the Demon Prison, or watch over the construction of what happens in the later game. While we haven't seen the full extent of what the fortress will become, we have had a peek at some of the glorious secrets and Easter eggs, including Doomslayer's personal collection of guitars and an old school PC that lets you play the original Doom, assuming that you find all the floppy disks. Insert a joke here about my 3.5-inch floppy. I do hope you get that joke. If all of this sounds like a lot of content to stuff into the game, you're damn right it is. So the days of 6 to 8 hour campaigns are over. Doom Eternal will last 22 plus hours. This is going to last you some time indeed. One of the more interesting ideas which will be implemented after the game releases are invasions, a hardcore activity for endgame players. They will be given the opportunity to disrupt and enter another player's game. Obviously you have to turn this feature on to be part of it, so you're not suddenly going to be crushed by someone who hasn't left their house in 7 days. But this could be really cool. We'll wait and see, but I like the idea. On top of this, Doom Eternal comes bundled with a new multiplayer mode, inspirationally titled Battle Mode. This is a 2 versus 1 affair in which the Doomslayer takes on 2 demons. Over 5 rounds, the 2 minions of hell need to kill the Doomslayer. No mean feat. Whereas the Doomslayer will need to kill both the demons, but here's the kicker. After he kills the first one, he'll have 20 seconds to hunt down and murder the second. This will bring a cat and mouse element to the game mode, making things feel more frantic. If you're wondering what happens should he fail, well, the dead demon respawns with 50% of their health, and the round continues. From there, whoever wins a round can summon something mind-blowing. The demons can call upon the Baron of Hell, and if the Slayer wins a round, they can use the BFG 9000. This mode is a huge part of the game's replayability going forward, so expect it to be supported for a long time. Oh, here's a new cool addition. We'll see a classic weapon option for Doom purists. With this mode turned on, our weapon will be placed in the exact center of the screen, just like in the 1990s. It's not a big thing, it's just a weird thing, which pays homage to the early games. And we can't talk about a Doom game without mentioning the soundtrack. The 2016 soundtrack blew our minds, and we can confirm the producer behind those tunes is back. All hail Mick Gordon. What a guy. Okay, before we go, let's go through a few housekeeping options. There will be a DLC Season Pass which will add content to the single player portion of the game. The multiplayer modes, on the other hand, will be regularly updated for free. You don't need the Season Pass for that one, which is nice. There are no microtransactions in the game. Again, that's good to know. And finally, Doom Eternal releases on March 20th on PS4, PC and Xbox. And get this, Nintendo Switch too, but don't expect 60 frames a second there. Oh, and if you're crazy enough to buy it, it's also out on Stadia. I'm not judging you, you do you. So what do you think? Are you grabbing Doom Eternal? I would love to know your thoughts. I'm Adam from PlayStation Grenade. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you next time.